Test. Mic test. Okay. So for the benefit of those far away from us in Kajang, I'll have to use the mic. Okay? So maybe I could encourage you guys to also sit on this side so I'm not just looking here the whole time. Yeah. Mix it up a little. So hello to those in Kajang. We can't see you, but you can see us. Okay, so good afternoon. It's a really odd hour to have something like this. But anyhow, we will not be discouraged. Okay, so do you all know who I am? Yes. Half the room said no. Okay, so my name is Jacinta. I'm a full-time pastoral worker for the Archdiocesan Youth Office. Okay, Asayo. You all know what Asayo is? Yes. No. Okay, so if you are Catholic, if you attend a church in the Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur, you come under the care of Asayo. So the key word here is care. So we care for you. All right. So my slides will all be in Bahasa. Anyone unable to? Everyone. But I will present in English. Okay. So this is for the benefit of all the different languages and everyone else who will be using the same slide. Okay. Now. Do you know about the 2018 Synod on Youth? Yes. What is a synod? A meeting of bishops, precisely. So the bishops meet once in a while. There's a general meeting, and sometimes there are extraordinary meetings. And they will come together to discuss what? Issues, yes. So it could be, the previous one was on families. It could be on some church doctrine or some pastoral initiative or some pastoral action. It could be anything, okay. So previously it was on the family, and that's why we have the document Amoris Laetitia. So the whole process of a synod is the bishops come together and they discuss, and then all the findings, they will come up with a document, and then the Pope will release an exhortation. So the exhortation is an important document. So it changes the pastoral route or the pastoral path of the church sometimes. Okay, sometimes it introduces new concerns, new actions. Okay, so very specially for this next 3 years, the Synod is concentrating on young people, youth, which is you. So some of you have already heard me speak about this, yeah, in MCCSD, but it's okay, the content's a bit harder this time around, okay? So, do you know the topic of the Synod for the young people? Yes, yeah, so you can do some translating. So it's young people, faith, and vocational discernment. So vocational here in Bahasa, right, it's kerjaya, so it sounds very career. But in the Catholic context, vocation means a different thing. So I'll explain all this in detail, okay? So this April, the last April, there was a very important meeting. They called all the youth officers of the world to go to Rome. And then the cardinals and the bishops from the Synod committee explained to us why the young people have been chosen and what are we to do next. So it all sounds very church father oriented, where everybody goes and the bishop just comes and discusses. But this is not what the Pope wants. What the Pope wants is for the young people themselves to have a voice. Okay, So how is Pope Francis going to listen to like the millions of Catholics around the world? Okay, so they have released a preparatory document, and within that document, there's a set of questions. Okay, the questions are very complex and difficult. So what we have done is we have created a more direct approach online. You can go to our website later, I will show you. You have to answer that. Now, there is a responsibility here today, all those who are attending, and then beyond. Now, when you go back after this, you need to tell your friends about this. Not only Catholics. Pope Francis is interested in all young people. So when you go to the website, there will be Catholic youth, Catholic young adult, non-Catholic youth, non-Catholic young adult, and there will be various languages for them to answer. Okay? Now, before you can even answer the difficult questions, you need to understand what are they asking of you. But that doesn't mean that your answers are controlled or skewed to a certain way. That's not the point. They made it very, very clear to all of us who attended the meeting, you are not to dictate the thoughts of the young person. And so we've taken that very seriously. So what I'm going to be doing here today with you guys is to explain and also take you through a discernment model. Okay, so when you hear about the word discernment, what do you think? Meditation, long silences, a lot of prayer, fasting, all that are good things, okay? But is it practical for a young person? Depends. Sometimes you need the silence, okay? But the unique thing about Pope Francis is, he is not imposing his ideals on you. So he's saying to each young person, I understand the lives that you are living now. The demands, the stresses, the expectations, and how many things you have to do. I mean, when I look at your lives today and I compare, when I was your age, the difference is so huge, the commitments that you have today. So he's saying, what practical approach, or rather, what real approach or discernment model can you, a young person in this time and age, do to, discern your life choices, your life path? So how many of you here already know what you're going to be, what you're going to do for the next 5, 10 years? Nobody? Anyone still studying? Yes. Anyone started working? I know Eva has. Working somewhat. Self-employed. Yeah. So, all these different stages in life, okay? And everyone has, if you're 24, you should be done and you should be working and all these kind of expectations. But now I want you to throw that all away. Because the very fact that I'm even standing here and telling you what to think is already opposing what the Pope wants. You get it? It's like really, it's kind of an oxymoron, I would say, because I'm telling you not to be, affected by what I'm saying to you, but I'm still telling you a lot of things, yeah? But it's like a chicken and egg situation, In order for you to know what the Pope is saying, I need to tell you first, right? But what I'm going to do is teach you the model, but the thoughts will be your own. Okay? Cool? So, if I'm too fast, let me know, okay? All right. Okay. So, when we talk about discerning, okay, the world is in trouble because of the lack of thinking. Pope Paul VI said this. So, with our education system at the moment, the Malaysian one at least, we memorize and then we vomit out everything, okay? As a teacher, I know this. This is what our students do. They just take everything in and then they vomit. There is no thinking. So he wants to, Pope Paul, he wrote this many, many years ago. He could foresee this happening to the world, where when we don't know something, what do? Google, whip out our phones, Google, and then suddenly we're the expert in everything, right? But we're not really thinking. We're not really making our own connections in our brain and not letting all those things work. So how are we breaking that cycle? All right? Now, the most important question he wants me, or rather the church, to ask you is the church helping you prepare for your life? Honestly, to a certain extent, but really, honestly, is the church preparing you directly, in a very profound way, preparing you for your life? A little bit, yeah, in terms of spirituality, development in some areas, right? Most of you are leaders involved in ministry. So those are all indirect things that you're gaining from the church, but nothing so direct that it sort of like changes your life in that very moment, yeah? So if by saying just one word to a person, Jesus could change the life of someone, what is lacking in our church today? Can we say that Jesus is lacking? Because Jesus is there, right? So what has happened is there's so many other things that have come up and taken priority, taken precedence over the very thing that's at the tabernacle. Agreed? Okay. So now this whole process, this synod process, the questionnaire, it's all going to make us look deeper. So it's beyond our ministry. It is you and the church. So it could be different members in the church. So our youth workers like me helping you in your life. No, say no. Our priests helping you in your life. No, say no. This is the feedback that we want. Because this is the church doing an introspective study. So we are seeing whether we are really helping the young people or not. So next year, when the bishops meet in October, all this data that you guys have filled out, it's all going to be there in Rome. They are going to be discussing all this. Yeah? So, and the Holy Father was very, very insistent that we need to reach out to non-Catholics, most importantly, because they are important regardless whether they know Jesus or not. Okay? So, there are 3 stages in discernment. Okay? 3 stages. The first is identifying, mengenal pasti. Okay. Now, what can you identify about this room? What can you see? What can you hear? Yeah? So these are all the physical identifications that we can make. So there's green there, green here, gray there, okay? Those are things we identify. So when we apply this to our life, okay? So I'm sorry, what's your name? J. Gabriel. Is that your name? No. Jessephan. Jessephan. Am I saying it correctly? Okay. So Jessephan, at the moment you are a student? Yes? Okay. Are you working? Not working. You're a student. What else? Are you the eldest in your family? Yes. Are you a church leader? Yes. Oh, I'm really, jackpot today. What else? What do you think, or can you name some defining traits about yourself? Not physical, yeah? About your personality, characteristics. Go with the flow. So you are easygoing. So are you a conformist? No. But you said you go with the flow. When I use... Yeah. Yeah? Okay. What else? Artistic. So you can draw? Okay. Now, all these traits that you've named, have they defined the next moves in your life, like your career path? What are you studying, if I may ask? Broadcasting, okay. Creative. outlet. Okay, I get that. So all these traits are sort of helping you to choose. So you have identified the certain talents or capabilities that you have, and these are dictating what you're going to do next. Okay, now, this is going to get really personal. Are you ready? Do you feel like you're making the right decision? Yes. Yes. 100% sure? Getting there. If you had another option, if let's say now it's an alternate universe, and I tell you, just Fan, you can be whatever you want, what would that be? Newscaster. Okay. So still sort of in line. Okay. So I'm happy with that. Like you are able to, you're happy with where you're going. All right. So you've identified certain things. Now, the second, okay, mentafsir. What is that in English? Interpreting. Okay. So once you've identified all these different aspects of your life, you need to interpret them. So how do we do that? Creak, 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 creak. Yeah. So, yes. So, like certain things happen to you and you want to interpret them. What do they mean? Are they telling you something that you should do or should not do? Right? So, in the Christian context, they would say, the Holy Spirit is there to help you interpret. But in a world that is so noisy, can we really, I would say, discern or really cancel out the unnecessary voices and really know that this is the real voice I should follow? So there's the voice of your parents, right? And then there's your own expectations. There's the voice of your friends or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. All these different people who love you, yeah? So they want good things for you. But then there's the inner voice, your own voice, and then there's God's voice, right? And more often than not, we are not sure which is God's voice. Like, when is that deep male voice going to say something to me, right? From the heavens, Josephine. Okay? So, how do we interpret? So here they said, pengertian adalah langkah melihat dalaman diri sendiri dengan ikhlas. So there's a few ways to do it. So there's physical people that can help you, like spiritual directors. They could be someone more spiritually mature than you. Could be like, I heard you all have youth advisors. It could be the youth advisors. Could be a parental figure in your life. Sometimes it's difficult to be spiritually accompanied by your parents because they normally impose their own feelings and their own thoughts. Okay? So you need to find someone that is not, I wouldn't say emotionally invested, but will not push their own biasness on the situation. So it needs to be someone more spiritually, I wouldn't say enlightened, mature, okay, mature. But that being said, maturity is subjective, right? Your friend of the same age could be more, spiritually mature than you, and that's fine. But you need to have the trust that, okay, this person can spiritually accompany me in my process of discernment. Okay. Or it could be, okay, some people, they speak to priests, right? And a lot of people get spiritual direction during confession. Okay. So some priests have longer lines when there's confession. Some have really short lines. So it depends. Do you want a year full or not? And then you go and choose the particular priest, But what I would encourage each person here today is to sort of like, let's say if you know that particular person is good at, I don't know, Father Chris is good at vocational discernment. I would say, hello, welcome. So, do you all have a spiritual accompaniment for your ministry, like a spiritual accompanier for your ministry? Kind of. No, yes, maybe. Not sure. Youth advisors, do you feel spiritually accompanied? No. They tell you what to do and what not to do. Okay, this feedback you can give me, okay? I won't reveal names. But this is feedback that can help, I would say, I would help give this feedback in a constructive way so that you all benefit in the end. Okay? So if you don't feel spiritually accompanied by the people that they have assigned to accompany you spiritually, you have to express that somehow. Because it is your right to receive that. Okay? So you all are very hesitant, which makes me think that you all are not receiving what you all think you all should. Agreed? Okay, now, is there a question? What if a person cannot identify his or her feelings and emotions, or his or her feelings are not consistent? Okay, so there's a question. I'll repeat the question. What if a person cannot identify his or her feelings and emotions, or his or her emotions are not consistent? So, okay, now, let's say you are a person with a temper, okay? So, this is Agnes, by the way. Agnes, sorry. So, Agnes seems really quiet, but she has a really bad temper. So, is that a trait that I'm identifying, her temper? Okay, but that's a consequence of something deeper. So when you are identifying, you need to delve deeper. What is causing her temper? So there must be some psychological episode or something in her childhood that has triggered this behavior. Yes? No? So those traits that I named of Josephine, right? Those are superficial on the surface. Right? Because I just met him. I don't want to, go too deep. Huh? So, now, if someone tells me, Josephine, when people are mean to him, he just keeps quiet. Okay? Let's say. They're all laughing. Okay, so when Josephine is, when someone's mean to him or being unjust to him, he just keeps quiet. So what is that signifying actually? What does that really mean? So we need to delve deeper into our issues. How is it that Josephine can just keep quiet? So I'm basically naming the most opposite character of his, right? No. Okay? So you have to, okay, let's say Josephine's my friend, okay? Today we are friends. Okay? So I will try to figure out, Josephine, what's your story? Why? Then he'll tell me, oh, my dad or my mom. Or maybe, he has like this bigger sibling who's like really abusive at home. That's why he's just so used to keeping everything in. So when we identify, we're not looking at the consequence emotion. We're looking at the deeper root of the issue. Okay? So whatever it is that you cannot identify, Fabian and gang in Kajang, not feeling something is also something. Why aren't you feeling anything? Or why are your emotions inconsistent? So that is also something to look into. So if you're unsure, you need to find a spiritual accompanier. Yeah? Because at a young age, you don't have all the answers. I don't have any answers. So what I will do, if someone is coming to me for spiritual accompaniment, I be a friend to them. It's about friendship. Youth ministry is not about camps or sessions. Youth ministry is about friendship. Friendship with each other, friendship with Christ. So even if you don't have any programs, youth ministry is still happening. That's something you all must not forget. Youth ministry is friendship with each other in Christ. Okay? So, if Josephine comes to me, Jacinta, I need to tell you something, and then he will tell me, okay. Then maybe I don't have the answers, and I will tell him honestly, Josephine, I think we can pray together. I think we can do this. Let's go see Father Christopher. Stuff like that can work. Okay? But when you are identifying your feelings, you have to it's a tiring process, right? Because how you are when you're 19 and how you are when you're 23 can be worlds apart, depending on your experiences, what you're exposed to, different incidences in your life, right? So all this is so complicated, but later on you will know why, all right? Then the third part, the point of discernment at the end of the day is to choose. So to go through the identifying process, to interpret, you can't stay in stage 1 and 2 forever. You have to choose at some point, whether willingly, unwillingly, someone is going to decide for you or you're just going to be in limbo. You have to choose. But how you decide, there needs to be risk. So the Holy Father says, do not be afraid to take the risk. If you are not making mistakes when you're young, then there's no point being young. So a lot of people, especially in Asia, okay, the church sees this. In Asia, no one lets you make any mistakes, right? They give you shit for it, okay? But that's the whole point of learning. If you don't make any mistakes or you make the wrong turn or whatever it is, how are you going to know what's right anyway? Okay, so you have to choose, okay? And the most important thing, like I said before, the choice must be yours. If you don't decide, sometimes the choice will be made for you. That's why you are here in the church. There's a certain awareness that you know at any point in life there is a choice, whether to sin or not to sin, whether to choose broadcasting or law. It could be, am I going to eat a burger or noodles? As simple as that, to something as, am I going to marry this person or not? So discernment happens at all levels, whether we like it or not. Every day we are discerning. But discernment is choosing between, not choosing what is good and bad, between what is good and bad, no. Because we can make a list of pros and cons and choose the socially acceptable thing or morally acceptable thing. Discernment is choosing between what is good and what leads you to Christ. So sometimes the part of the list that has more cons is the one that leads you to Christ. But do you have the courage and are you able to take the risk and choose that? Okay, so we are going to do a little activity. Oh, empty, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you a painting, okay? This is by Caravaggio, The Calling of Saint Matthew, okay? So remember, this painting is The Calling of Saint Matthew. Who's Saint Matthew? The apostle, tax collector, Gospel of Matthew, yes. Why is there so many? Okay. Oh, it's not clear. Is it clear? Okay, maybe if it's not really clear, if you have your phones, look at it in your phone. Okay, if you can see it, wonderful. Those in Kajang, you can Google the painting on your phone, look at all the aspects of the painting. Okay? Now, let's apply the 3 stages. The 3 stages. Okay, so there's identifying, interpreting, and choosing. Now, can see, Greg? Cannot see. Okay, maybe a bit clearer. Let's stand aside. Okay. So you can see there's a table, there's a few men sitting at the table, and then there's 2 men standing. Okay. What stands out to you? Those who know the answers, don't reveal them, okay? What stands out to you off the bat about this painting? Yeah, medieval. Okay. Whoa. So we have an art enthusiast. All right. No, I would say something more literal about the characters in the painting. Okay. Yeah. The conversation. Okay, who is having the conversation? Okay. The man on the table. So the one like with the back facing us. No? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Something more obvious? Okay. All right. Let me just draw your attention to the men standing. Okay? Now, maybe it's not too clear, but the old man that is wearing like something white or gray, his clothes don't belong to that era. The others are all dressed in similar style, with the exception of that old man. So who do you think that is? He looks like Moses, right? So who do you think that is? No? Yeah? Looks very apostolic, okay? Guys. Looks like Matthew? No. Okay, I'll give you the answer. Okay, the old man is God. Okay? Now, in paintings, right, especially paintings or religious paintings, when you see the gesture like this, okay, Trinitarian, normally it's God or Jesus. Okay? So the old man who does not belong to that time, okay, is God. And we can't see his face. True? Okay. And also maybe if you can see a clearer version, his feet, barefoot, he has a staff, okay, that's not very clear. Now, the man facing God, who do you think that is? Now that I've given you, yeah, it's Jesus. Can you tell me why it could be Jesus? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's all. Same hand, Trinitarian. Also something more literal, the red, yeah, the blood, kingship, okay, sacrifice, red, okay. So God and Jesus together, both pointing towards the 5 gentlemen at the table, right? Okay. Now, remember what's the title of the painting? The Calling of Saint Matthew. So now I would ask you, who is Saint Matthew? I can't. Oh. The guy who's pointing away. Any responses from Kajang? Okay, now, if you can see clearly, let's start from the extreme. So the guy who's looking down, right? If you have a clearer version on your phone, you can see there's money on the table. Okay, so it's very Matthew. Tax collector, money on the table. He could be Matthew. No? Yes? So now I ask you, who do you think is Matthew? It could be anyone at the table. So we single out the 2 there, just the 5 at the table. Who is Matthew? The old man in the corner. Spectacles, not looking up. Perhaps. Why? Why do you say so? He's observing. Anything else? The red beard pointing. He has a hand to the money, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the guy in the red beard, one hand is like this, and one hand is actually touching the money. Okay? So, good answer. Good answer. What else? Yeah. Yang mana satu? The one looking down. Okay. Why do you think that's Matthew? He's so fond of the money. Yeah. If you look closely, he actually looks really guilty and sad. If you zoom into his face, you can really see that he's guilty, sad. Okay? Then, okay, so we have 3 answers. How about that boy? Who thinks that young boy is Matthew? Anyone here named Matthew? No. No one thinks the young boy is Matthew? No. Okay. So how about the last gentleman? That no one seems to think it's Matthew. Yeah, the one with the back facing, and the one with the sword. He has a sword, and he's sort of like getting ready to stand up. Can't that be Matthew? Jesus is looking straight past him. That is true. He's looking at the end. Okay, now I'll turn the question around and ask you, who are you in this painting? The man with the red beard deflecting the attention. But who are you in the painting? So you identify with the guy looking down. So you are red beard guy. Okay, the guy with the sword. Okay. You want to share? You didn't share, right, that day? Want to share? Yvonne, right? Your name's Yvonne? Yeah. What do you think, Yvonne? Yeah, who are you in the painting? Okay. Okay. So Yvonne said, for the benefit of those in Kajang, she said that she could be all of them at different points in her life, different situations. Okay? But who do you identify with most right now, this moment? Yeah. The red beard guy. Anyone from Kajang? No. Okay. Fabian, are you asking them? Okay. Who else? Angeline. You heard this before. So, who are you in the painting? The guy looking down. Why? Just feel like you identified with the guy looking down. How about you? You're very quiet. What's your name? Sorry. who's looking down now. So it's a choice that he has made to look down, even though he knows he needs to look up. Yeah? Okay. So you have identified. Yes? Have you interpreted? Somewhat. Okay. Now, the truth about this painting is, nobody knows who's Matthew. Okay. So, maybe we can look at the characters again. Right? Now, the old man who's not seated, he's like standing in the corner. Some people say, or some scholars have said, that's so he's unable to look at God. That's why he's looking down at the other mortals, humans in the painting. Okay? Now, the gaze of Jesus and God are on everyone at the table. But, like you pointed out just now, sorry, your name? Liam pointed out that the guy with the sword, their gaze is not really on him. But then if you really notice, he's already getting up. Are very important. So light shows God, shadow shows the absence of God. Okay? So even the hand of the red-beard guy, half of it is dark, half of it is light. So it shows his mortality, his human nature. Okay? So that guy, he is doubtful, but he is unsure. So God is calling somebody, right? He's pointing. So he's saying, is it me? Him? Right? Unsure. So the evil one, the guy bending, looking down maybe because he feels unworthy. He feels like he can't look at God. Yeah? What else? Why could he be looking down? He just doesn't want to face it. Okay? What else? If let's say we were to put a different character, or now Jezebel, if I were paint, or you paint yourself, what would you be doing? Okay. So if God is calling you today to do something, you take a step back and think, is it really? Yeah, you're doubtful whether it's really you, whether you can really do it, or did he call the person next to you? Yeah? Okay. Anyone else want to respond? If you were given a chance to paint a new character, Lily, what would that character be? Or would you test? Okay. Or would you choose an existing character? What do you think? So not a new character. The guy looking down. Now we're going to do a little role play. So this quote by Pope Francis: human self-understanding changes with time, and so also human consciousness deepens. So I need 2 volunteers. Okay, Liam, thank you. Another person, Yvonne. Okay, so just where you are, it's okay, just where you are. Now, who's, out of the 2 of you, who's hungry? Yvonne's always hungry. Okay, so Liam, you're quite contented. All right. Now, just take a deep breath. Come out. Oh, yeah, they cannot see. Too fast? Too slow? Okay, Liam, can you have a seat here? Yvonne here. Okay. So, take a deep breath, Liam. Let the air fill your stomach. Really full. What did you eat for lunch? Noodles. So, what's your favorite food in the world? What? Test. But what I mean is like, apart from that. Risotto. Okay, now. So do you feel like your stomach has filled up with air? Yeah. Take a deep breath again. Your stomach is so full. You feel it almost exploding and you're like, why did I eat so much today? Okay. Now, I give you a plate of risotto. Do you want it? No? Sure? It's the best risotto made by Gordon Ramsay with crab and corn.
I'll do what he does and eat just a bit.
Just a bit. But now the option is, it's either you take it or you don't. You'll take it? No. Okay, so I'll just leave the risotto here. Okay, so Yvonne, you're hungry, right? What's your favorite food in the world? Can you choose something other than risotto? Pizza, okay. The best pizza from Rome, made by true Romans, okay? But it came all the way in the flight with me a few months ago. There's mold on it. Okay? And I'm giving it to you. Yvonne, you are really hungry. Okay, you feel your stomach constricting. You are so hungry right now. Okay, you could like punch someone. Okay, and I give you this moldy pizza. Would you eat it? No. Okay, now pizza from Pizza Hut that I bought yesterday, cold from the fridge. Yvonne, would you eat it? Okay, Kingston is homeless and he has not eaten in a day, and I only have one slice of pizza. And I pass it to you, Yvonne. Would you give it to Kingston? Okay, so you will eat it? You will give him all? Maybe it's something he doesn't like. But if he hasn't eaten in a day, I don't think he would be picky, would you? You'll just eat anything. Right? So one slice of cold pizza from the fridge. Yvonne, would you share it with Kingston? Yes. Okay. So there's Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. Because when he said Eucharist, I knew this isn't going to work on him. He's going to share the risotto with everybody. So Liam would generally share the risotto with everybody because he's full. Because even before I introduced these two variables, you already wanted to share it. Yeah. So, but then you had to think whether you really wanted to share the pizza with Kingston. Correct? Yeah. Okay. Is your brain working now? No, Alistair's like, I'm still hungry. Okay? So, now when we are thinking about community, you all can sit wherever. Thank you. When we're thinking about community, right? Okay? So, what was the discernment here? Did Yvonne discern or not? Yes, so there was a consideration for something beyond herself. So Kingston's hunger affected her, what do you call it, her decision making. Also the fact that I said I brought moldy pizza. So she thought about the impact of that, eating that rotten food, how would it be on her? Okay. So decision making and discernment looks very similar. But the difference between choosing or making decisions and discerning is, what's the difference? Is there a difference? Type of choosing, okay. But what is the factor that distinguishes or makes it different? Discernment and decision making. Yes. So I said it before, right? Discernment is choosing between what is good and what leads us to Christ. So some of you might say, but everything good comes from Christ. But I'm not talking about that definition of good. I'm talking about the world's definition of good. Okay? The world's definition of good may not be necessarily what Christ wants for you. Okay? Audio okay? Okay. Now, next role play. How many of you have your own, how many of you, your parents or somebody in your family own a restaurant or some kind of eatery? No? No one? Yes? You work at a restaurant. What restaurant is that? McDonald's. Wonderful example. Okay, now, let's say the McDonald's belongs to you. Okay. In a world where McDonald's belongs to Yvonne, maybe Jalan Pahang branch belongs to you. The one that used to have a cool playground but does not anymore. Okay? So, Jalan Pahang McDonald's belongs to Yvonne. Now, the petrol price goes up. Okay? What do you do, Yvonne, when the petrol price goes up? Do you increase the price of your... The petrol price went up by 70 cents. Okay, so how much is like a Happy Meal now? How much would you increase it and what would be the new price? Okay, let's say it's $6.99. Okay, so what would the new price of the Happy Meal be? $7.20, 30 cents. Okay. Now, because you increase the price, the food court here, what is it called? Air Panas food court, is it? Chinese food court. Is going to increase all their items by 30 cents as well. Okay. Now, what happens when everyone increases their food price by 30 cents? Yeah, what do you think happens to the community? Stop eating outside. Okay. So it's like a domino effect, right? So the 70 cent goes up, then you increase your price because your materials increase in price. So it means that even the market vendors would increase the price of their food. And it just goes up and up and up and up. Now, who benefits from this whole situation? The government. Really? Anyone here study economics? No. Okay, so let me localize it. So now we are thinking of it in a macro kind of environment now. I'm a church worker, so you know how much church workers make. So even a few dollars in everyday expenses increases, it's really a struggle for people like me. So now I'm single, so I don't have commitments of a child or a husband or whatever to pay for, right? So imagine my colleagues who are married. So milk formula for a baby is 200 ringgit for a small pack, okay? Amazing price. Now, this 30 cents, everything 30 cents, 30 cents, 30 cents, 30 cents, what happens eventually? Is it justice for everyone? It is helping the government, correct, right? And in the long run, it might help the people. But the immediate justice or how it affects the community, how does that work? Yeah. Kill the people first before helping. Thank you, Junior. So when the population of the world has decreased, then it will help people. Okay. Just look at it. The Singaporeans might agree. Okay, now, when we are talking about deciding, right, the consequence of our decisions sometimes are, when we are making decisions, we are always fixated on the consequences for ourselves. Agreed? We are very rarely thinking about how it affects one person. So Yvonne might think it's just 30 cents for one happy meal, for that one moment, for that one child who's getting it. But if every single meal, every single thing, every single person increases, what happens? So the discernment, now obviously these things happen in real life. But when you decide something, the consequences of your decision are far beyond your comprehension at the moment. But when you discern and you decide with Christ, what happens? The justice for all, the Holy Spirit will inspire you to pick or rather choose a path that provides justice for the people around you. So sometimes, on the surface, choosing your own thing, might be like, okay, it's just affecting me and, we don't know because we are human, we are in this situation, we can only comprehend that much. But there is so much more to our decisions. Everyone is connected with a thread. Agreed? So maybe this is a lot, but this is the truth. Okay? Whatever you do, maybe, I don't know, it just starts a different web of consequences for everything. So, just like when you confess your sin, right? You know not all your sins are forgiven. You know that, right? Yes? Only those you confess are forgiven, but the consequences of your sin, he looks at me like, what? Really? Okay? There are repercussions for everything that we do. It's hard to be a Catholic. Yeah? Not easy. But then, who redeems? What happens then? All the consequences of your sin, Josephine. Purgatory. Penance. Okay? That's why there's the indulgences. You go for pilgrimages. You do extraordinary acts of faith and compassion for one another. This helps reduce lah. How much it reduces, we don't know. But the faith is that you must try. Okay. Spiritual worldliness. Okay. Sorry, I did not explain this. It kills the soul, it kills the church. Sometimes we are concerned with spiritual acts on the outside. Okay? It means that we appear spiritual, but deep down, are we really connected spiritually? So, there is this growing threat in the church, with young people especially, where we are concerned with piety, so a lot of praying, a lot of spiritual activity, but true spirituality, which is intimacy with God, is missing. Kingston's very hungry. So, when we are talking about spirituality and then suddenly, okay. So, spiritual worldliness. So, we must do this introspective evaluation or look deeper into ourselves. Is our connection to the practice of religious, or how to say, I come to church during Mass, I'm so connected to God, or I feel like I am, and then the rest of the day I don't think about Jesus. So Jesus becomes part of your every movement, everything. Not to say, at every moment I'm thinking or saying the word Jesus, no. But every action that you're making, you are thinking about, okay, what would Jesus do? Is this what would Jesus do? All these kind of things. It sounds very extreme. But if you really think about it, right, if you're really connected to God spiritually, it becomes second nature. Yeah? So there's how to say, you must be careful when you are trying to build your spirituality as a young person. Can be very easy to be emotionally be connected, especially when we do praise and worship and other kinds of prayers that make us so emotionally high. Yeah, in that moment, it's all wonderful. But when you're alone, dealing with your shit, can you feel God there? So this is the thing we must be very careful about. Grow your intimacy with Jesus, dependent on Him alone, not by externals. Can? If anyone needs any additional explanation, come and see me later, okay? Now, okay. All right. I am a sinner. This is the most accurate definition. Okay, so this is by who? Pope Francis. So this is the Pope saying that he's no better than anyone. Wonderful man. He's a person that does not think he's any special mystical being. He's like you and me, same, right? Now, let's see. Okay, I'm just checking how much time do I have. All right, now, I need 3 volunteers, 2 girls and a guy. Yay! Eva. Yes. One more. Okay. It's okay. Eva, come. Agnes, you tolong me. Okay. So, come here. Here. Okay. So, Eva, come here. So, this is Agnes. Agnes, meet Eva, meet Kingston. Okay. So, Agnes. Okay. So, Agnes is going to hug Eva. Okay. Now, Eva, you are pregnant. And he is the father. Okay, now. Can you feel the weight of Agnes on your tummy? No. You have to lean on her more. Okay, now, Kingston, what did you do? Okay? So, Eva, now you have just started working. And now this has happened. What do you do? Who? Oh, Agnes. Agnes is her baby in her tummy. But Agnes is my colleague. Okay, so what do you do, Eva? This is your child in your womb right now. So there's a decision to be made. So the people around you are saying, let's take care of it. Because you're just starting your work. You don't want this to mess up your future. So what do you do? Deal with it. Your consequences. Whatever happens, you'll have to deal with it. Okay. So how would you support this child? Don't know. So Kingston, what are you going to do now? Are you working, studying? Studying. Kingston, you're Form 5. So what are you going to do? Form 5 can be father. Yeah, minor. Okay, let's pretend you're 18. So what do you do now? Child support. But you haven't even worked. You haven't even studied yet. What can you do? What would your parents do if they found out something like this? They'll kill you? "21 can get married, so it's okay." Not okay. Okay, so now, what are you going to do for Eva and Agnes? Emotional support, but that's not going to, she needs prenatal vitamins, she needs to go for a checkup every month. All that requires money. You're going to start working, try to support. Then, how about your studies? Why don't you just tell her to get rid of it? Option? Really? Okay. You're not willing to make that decision. You're not willing to terminate Agnes. No, really, I'm saying this so that they can hear because, yeah, okay. So regardless of the consequences, Agnes grows up. Eva? Yeah.
Maybe, of course, in terms of, keep her until when it's time for delivery. After that, probably look for foster parents if I can, but make sure that it's someone that you can rely on. But
Okay.
she still lives.
She lives. Okay. Agnes. So Agnes, how do you feel?
I'm safe.
You're safe.
Yeah.
When I said that I told them to get rid of you, how did you feel?
I just
Did you feel any sort of change in your emotions when I said just get rid of Agnes?
me quite upset.
Quite upset.
Yeah. I haven't seen this beautiful world.
Yeah. So you see, in that moment, right? Hey, you all can sit down. Thank you. In that moment, we are looking so much at Eva and Kingston, not really thinking about her, you see. So the consequence of them terminating the pregnancy is so great, actually, now that we put a physical person to it. It's a whole lifetime, a whole person that can love Christ more. You understand what it means? So whatever discernment that you're doing, sometimes it might be the most difficult thing in the world. But if it brings you closer to Christ, it is the right decision. But do we know it concretely 100% that it is? At the moment that we are deciding? We can't. So the risk is there. Okay. Next, please. So this is a modern depiction of, modern depiction of the Caravaggio painting. Not very clear, only that one guy has dreadlocks. So regardless of who you are, whether you are doubtful, whether you are the guy looking down, whether you are the small boy that is curious, unsure, whether you are the one pointing and deflecting the attention, God is still calling you, everyone, okay? So when you answer the questionnaire, there will be some questions about your relationship with the world, some questions about your relationship with the church. So answer very honestly. Some of them are options, you can just click a scale. Some of them are open-ended, so you can just put in keywords. It doesn't have to be full sentences, but make sure we can understand it when we read it, okay? So I'll stress again, discernment. Okay, decision making is choosing between good and bad. But discernment is choosing between good and what leads you to Christ. So the difference between discernment and decision making, again, is the Jesus factor. Okay? So some people have asked me, what's the best type of discernment? So you can prescribe to different kinds of spirituality, Ignatian spirituality, Franciscan spirituality, Dominican, Benedictine, there's so many types. But I would say, or rather even the person who shared in Rome, go back to the source of everything, the Word of God, the Eucharist, the Mass. You can never go wrong with those. Okay? And if you're really considering a proper discernment process, try to find someone to spiritually accompany you. Can be your friends, pray together, grow together. Can be someone older, can be a youth mentor, whatever it is, right? If any of you want some kind of, maybe you want to be connected to some religious sisters or priests, you don't know how to do it, you can always come and see the youth office, we can direct you. Okay? Because there are many, many people who want to be spiritual accompaniers, but they just don't know how to connect to the young people. Okay? Now, it's been an hour already. Are you all okay? It's a sleepy afternoon. Okay. So I would just like to thank those in Kajang, Fabian, Josephine, everyone else, which I can't see. Thank you so much for coming on a Saturday afternoon and listening to Pope Francis or his messenger. And to all of you who have come here to really take this seriously, because this is a responsibility on your part. Okay? We are going to take our tea break, there's food. Okay? Enjoy. Then later I will explain, we will have a game, some activity, and we will do the questionnaire together. Alright? You guys have smartphones, right? Those who don't have internet, you can binge off our hotspot. Okay, so go for your tea first. Make sure you all say your grace before you eat. Thank you very much. Sorry? At the canteen? No, I see it just out here. You can go down and eat. Okay, can. So what time do we come back here, Greg? What time? Greg? Okay, what time do we come back? Okay, half an hour. So 3:10, we'll be back here at 3:10.